Meditation on every step can be liberated to nirvana. Really, monks, I say, Kanta destruction depends on the first musing, the second musing, the third musing, the fourth musing, the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, the sphere of neither perception nor perception, the ending of perception and feeling. Monks, it is said, I say, Kanka, destruction depends on the first musing, and wherefore is it said, consider the monk who, a fool from sense desires, aloof from evil ideas, enters and abides in the first musing, wherein applied and sustained throughout works which is born of solitude and is full of zest and ease. Whatever cause there of form, feeling, perception, minding or consciousness, he sees wholly as impermanent phenomena, as ill as disease, a boil, a sting, a hurt, an affliction, as something alien, grimcrack, empty, not the self. He turns his mind away from such phenomena, and having done so, brings the mind towards deathless element, which the thought. This is peace, this is the summit, just this, the stalling of mind activity, the renounce of all rebirth, basis, the destroying of craving, point passionlessness, ending, the cool, and steadfast therein he wins the cranko destruction, if not wins the cranko destruction, just by reason of the Dharma zest, that Dharma sweetness he snaps the 5 lower filters, and is born spontaneously. Not subject to return from the world, becomes completely cool there. Monks, suppose an archer or his pupil were to practice on a straw mat, or a heap of clay. Presently he would become a long shot, a rapid shot, a piercer of great thickness. Even so, the monks who are aloof from sense desires, aloof from evil ideas, enters and abides in the first musing, wherein applied sustained thought works, which is born of solitude and in full of zest and ease. Really, monks, it is said, I say, Kranko, destruction depends on the first musing. It is for this reason that it is said, monks, it is said that I say, so Kranko depends on the sphere of infinite space. And where is this said? By passing wholly beyond perceptions of form, by passing away from perception of sense of reactions, unattaintive to the perception of manifold, he enters abides in the sphere of infinite space, thinking space is infinite. In the sphere of infinite space, sees perception, minding or consciousness, he sees wholly an impotent phenomenon, as ill as a disease, a boil, a sting, a hurt, an affliction, as something alien, grimcrap, empty, not the self, turns his mind away from that and brings it towards the deathless element within your thought. This is peace, this is summit, this is just the stilling of all mind activity, the renouncing of all rebirth basis, the destroying of craving, passionlessness, endlessness. The cool wins to the cranker destruction, or snapping the 5 lower fetters is born spontaneously and becomes completely cool. And steadfast therein he wins to the cranker destruction, if not wins to cranker destruction just by reason of that Dharma zest, that the Dharma sweetness, he snaps the 5 lower filters and is born spontaneously, and being not the subject to return from that world, becomes completely cool there. Monks, suppose an archer or his pupil were to practice on strawman or heap of clay. Presently he would become a good long shot, a rapid shot, a piercer of great thickness. Even so, the monks who bypass and who beyond the perceptions of form, by the passing away of the perception of sense reaction, unattaintive to the perception of manifold, he enters, abides in the sphere. Infinite space, thinking space, is infinite. Really it is said, I say, cranko destruction depends on the sphere of infinite space, and it is for this reason that it is said. Thus, monks, as far as perception prevails, there is Gunas' perception. Moreover, monks, those spheres both the attainment of the sphere of neither perception nor perception, and the ending of perception and feeling are the ones which I say ought to be properly made, known by muses skilled in the attained emergency, therefore after they have attained the emergent form. The Four Noble Truths. Bhikkhus, there are these four noble truths. What for? The noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of origin of suffering, the noble truth of cessation of suffering, the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. And what, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of suffering? It should be said the five arrogance subject to clinging. This is a form of arrogant subject to clinging, the feeling arrogant subject to clinging, the perception arrogant subject to clinging, the violation or formation arrogant subject to clinging, the consciousness arrogant subject to clinging. This is called the noble truth of suffering. And what, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering? It is this craving which leads to renewed existence, accomplished by delight and lust, seeking delight here and there. This craving for sensual pleasures, craving for existence, craving for extermination. This is called the noble truth of the origin of suffering. And what, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of cessation of suffering? It is the remainless fading away and cessation of something craving, the giving up and relinquishment of it, freedom from it, non-reliance on it. This is called the noble truth of cessation of suffering. And what, bhikkhus, is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering? It is in this noble eightfold path that is the right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is called the noble truth. These, bhikkhus, are the four noble truths. Therefore, bhikkhu, an exertion should be made to understand this is suffering, an exertion should be made to understand this is the origin of suffering, an exertion should be made to understand this is the cessation of suffering, should be made to understand this is the way leading to cessation of suffering. The four Aralin truths and dependent. And what, monks, is Aralin truth of ill? Birth is ill, old age and decay, sickness, sorrow, grief, woe, lamentation, and despair are ill. Not to get what one desires is ill. In short, the five groups based on grasping are ill. And what, monks, is the Aralin truth of the arising of ill? Conditioned by ignorance, activities come to be. Conditioned by activities, consciousness. Conditioned by consciousness, name and shape. Conditioned by name and shape, the sixfold sphere of sense. Conditioned by the sixfold sphere of sense. Contact. Conditioned by contact, feeling. Conditioned by feeling, craving. Conditioned by craving, grasping. Conditioned by grasping, becoming. Conditioned by becoming, birth. Conditioned by birth, old age and death and sorrow. Grief, woe, lamentation and despair come to all pass. This is the arising of the whole mass of ill. This, monks, is called the Aralin truth of arising of ill. And what, monks, is the Aralin truth of making ill to cease? From the utter fading out and the ending of ignorance comes the ending of activities. From the ending of activities, the ending of consciousness. The ending of consciousness, the ending of name and shape. From the ending of name and shape, the ending of the sixfold sphere of sense. From the ending of the sixfold sphere of sense, the ending of contact. From the ending of contact, the ending of feeling. From the ending of feeling, the ending of craving. From the ending of craving, the ending of grasping. From the ending of grasping, the ending of becoming. From the ending of becoming, the ending of birth. From the ending of birth, old age and death, sorrow, grief, woe, lamentation, and despair comes the ending of this whole mass of ill. This, monks, is called the making of ill to cease. And what, monks, is the Aralin truth of practice that leads to the ill to cease? This is the Aralin eightfold way to wit. right view, right aim, right speech, right action, right living, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. This is called the Allen truth of practice that leads to the making of ill to cease.